What up, YouTube fam? Today in this video, I kind of just wanted to go over some of the newer grading techniques that I've been learning in Davinci Resolve since switching over from Final Cut Pro. I made a video a while back showing some of the things that I do in Final Cut Pro to help me get certain looks and whatnot, but that's about like 8 years or so, not 8 years, 8 months or so old, so I wanted to come and do like an updated one. I think this video was, I didn't plan on making it for this project because I thought the grade was so simple, but it was actually upon request when someone seen my screen grabs. So I was like, all right, I'll just do a video on that. It's gonna be pretty simple, and let's just go right into Davinci and I'll show you guys what I did. Actually, first, I gotta play the video so you'll know what I'm talking about. So first I'll do that, and then we'll go into Davinci.
Hi, I'm Lisa Humphrey. I am a physician here at Nationwide Children's Hospital, and I run the palliative care program here at Nationwide Children's. Actually, this coming May will be my 10-year anniversary here at Nationwide Children's, and I have used the Ladybug book, I believe, since the very first day I arrived, because the Ladybug book got here before me. I used the gift of the Ladybug book for our patient population who are unique amongst kids, and their story is unique. And the book really speaks to that. I keep saying unique, but it's the only way to describe these special children that exist in the world, where they want to fit in perhaps, but they need to learn that they need to fit into exactly the box in the world, in the love, in the rainbow that they reside within. People learn and people discuss and people share information in lots of different ways. So for people where media that they can, that is tactile and communicative about a process, it's a really nice way to learn. And so it really allows me to have a tool in my toolbox that I can then confidently put forth and know that it's going to help the family.
And that was pretty much it. Small little project. It was a book donation for Carol Mack. She was giving away some books to a couple of really awesome families, so she wanted to document the experience, and that's what we did. Pretty simple video to make and pretty simple to shoot. We shot in about an hour or two, so let's get into Davinci Resolve now though. We're chopped off a little bit at the top, but that's fine. First and foremost, let me show you guys my color management. I'm gonna come over here to project settings, and actually I'm gonna change this to 1080 real quick. 1080, but come over here to color management. I am color managed. I'm in Davinci Wide Gamut, and we're outputting Rec 709A. I started putting it as Rec 709A because my colors was looking washed out whenever I would upload to like Instagram or something like that, some screen grabs or even a whole video. So now using Rec 709A, I got my colors back, but I just want to know anybody else's opinion if they use Rec 709A to output. Like, am I damaging something unknowingly? So far, I haven't noticed it if I am, but that's what I use. So right off the bat, as you can see, this is what we get straight out of camera with Davinci Wide Gamut. I liked what I was getting straight out of camera. I wanted to keep it simple. So I really like it. We're shooting on the TTartisian 17mm f1.4, and it's pretty, it's really soft. I shot it at f1.4 with my ND filter. We were covered by all these trees, so it was really, really soft at the moment. And the sun wasn't out. I kept going behind clouds, but we were also covered by these trees, which was helping soften that light even more. But even though it's pretty soft, that's fine. It didn't need to be too sharp, but we're gonna add some sharpness later here in the grade too as well. Anyway, so I like the way it was looking. The colors just being kind of natural and having good color separation. I like these yellows. Basically what I want to do is, if I could just up the saturation on everything, like if I didn't do anything at all, if I can just up the saturation on everything, that's basically what I want to do to the image. But we can't do that. We have to kind of massage it in. So that's what we'll do now. So first off, I'm gonna go over here to my power grades. And this is the one that I got saved. Don't mind all this junky and messiness. I gotta organize that later. But we're gonna apply this power grade, and this power grade is basically just my own personal, node setup, heavily based on Cullen Kelly and what he teaches in Davinci. So I'll definitely link his channel below. But if you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you know about Cullen Kelly already. But we'll go over to the timeline. And for some reason, I never knew about this little clip in timeline. I always seen them using it, but I don't know how I missed it. Things on the timeline level affects all your clips down below, so you don't have to copy and paste every last little thing. You can at least have something like a base grade for every clip and then grade off of that. Beforehand, I was just not using that, and I would just copy and paste and then go back and tweak it, and it was terrible. Let me go ahead and apply the Cullen Kelly LUT, the Davinci wide gamut LUT, and it does something to my colors that I don't like, and I've been meaning to change it and tweak it so that it fits my needs, but it changes my trees. You'll see after I apply it. I pretty much like everything that the LUT does in terms of contrast. The only thing I don't like is what it did to my greens, which it made my greens a little more yellow, which makes them way too close to this shirt, and everything just looks really, you know, it looks good, but I don't want this look. I just want some more separation. It's gonna make the image pop as soon as I do this. So let's go ahead and let me talk about these nodes for a second really quick too. So the node structure I got is pretty simple. It's nothing too extravagant. They're basically just nodes in places that I know already, so I just use them in the place. And if I do something different on those nodes, like say for instance, usually I keep this as color. If I tweak this and it has anything to do with the color, the main color scheme, it's going to be in this node. I know it's color. I can click it on and off. And the first thing that I'm going to do is head over to my color node, and we're going to go ahead and go into our curves, hue versus hue, and we're going to make a selection on this grass over here. Just select all of that, and I'm going to just start to pull this down. And as I pull this down, you can start to see that contrast pop is starting to happen. I should probably overdo everything so you guys can see it more, just from changing that, because these colors aren't that close no more. You know, you got, you know, different colors and your help stretching it out a little bit. And like I said, what I basically want to do is keep these colors how they are now, but just boost the saturation up. So I like that for that color. Now I just want to get my exposure right. And I'm just gonna come over here to my offset wheel. Bring that down to, I'm just eyeballing it to where I think looks good. I like that. I think that looks pretty good. Everything looks pretty nice and even. The next thing I'll do is head over here. I don't really like the crunch in these blacks, you know, but I don't necessarily want to raise my lift. You know, I think the blacks in here can just be lifted just slightly more detail. And then over here it's pretty dark as well. So what I'll do is, instead of using lift and, you know, make it, you know, it's kind of global using the lift that way. So I'll go over to my HDR wheels and select the shadows in here, and I'll just begin to lift that up just a little bit. And you can just look over here. You can see it's like really targeting just those black areas, those darker areas in the image. And that's what we're doing right here. Even the skin looks better when you bring down the exposure. I really like the skin tones here. You know, as you bring everything down, they start to look more natural. So we're doing everything gradually. You know, we're almost there, just using 2 nodes. Like, this is basically where I want to be, right here in this area. And then to spice it up just a little bit, I wanted just a little bit more blurriness in the background. And since we're about to sharpen this in a bit, I wanted to make everything else a little softer, you know, so we don't have to sharpen that much. Everything else will just be softened off, and she'll just be at a pretty base level amount of sharpness, but she'll stand out a little more. You'll see what I mean in a little bit. All I do is set the power window. Also, since this shot is stationary, I don't have to track it or anything like that. So I've been using power windows a lot like that. Like, ever since I started watching Cullen Kelly, I'm not tracking no power windows no more. Like, if I don't have to, I'm not tracking no power windows. I just use them big and broad just like this. So, but for here, we're gonna go ahead and squish that in a little bit and go ahead and invert this. And I'm gonna go ahead and add some blur to the background. You can use lens blur. I don't really like lens blur that much. I think it blooms it a little too much for my liking. Actually, that's pretty decent too. I used Gaussian blur before only because it when you take it down in the blend mode to the lowest, they start to look the same. But this, okay. I had to take this. That is this that does it. The main thing, the apodization, whatever that is. It kind of blooms everything a little too soft for my liking. I really just need a blur. That's really all I want, and that's what the Gaussian blur was doing. But this looks pretty good too. I like how the lens blur is looking, so I'll just stick with the lens blur for now, and just keep this apodization tweak all the way over there. Close these edges just slightly like that, make it an oval. And yeah, like I said, I don't want too much, so this is halved off. So this is the lens blur with half, and I'll just zoom in pretty close so you can see what it's doing. So this is with lens blur on. And off. And even, I forgot, while we're still in that node, we can also, if you want to have everything else drop a little bit and you want a little bit more contrast, we could bring down this gain as well. You know, if you wanted to add some more moodiness back into the frame. I wanted to keep everything nice and a little bit on the brighter side. I didn't want everything to be super, super contrasty. Liking what we got so far. So that's 3 nodes, right? We go back and see what we started off with. So this is Davinci wide gamut. This is with the LUT applied. It's the color change. That's the power window. And that's the exposure change. And that's pretty much it. Like that's all I do for the most part. And everything else is just a taste. Like what I want to do is just basically up the saturation of the whole image. Like when I shot it, if I could just up the saturation, that's what I would do. If there was a magic slider where I could just up the saturation, I would do it. Sometimes I'll make a new node, make it skin. Really, let's go over to balance and just make this skin real quick. So this is skin, and we'll go over to color warper. Don't tear my head off right now, but it was quick. It was a quick clip, so let me use color warper. And what we can do is just slightly add some life into the skin. See what that's doing? Just slightly. See what that looks like. You see it kind of looks dead too after looking at it. The skin looks kind of dead now after you make that tweak. So it just livens up the skin a little bit using the color warper just slightly. You don't want to go crazy with it, man, because yeah, it'll mess up your image quick. This side, see I can overdo it real quick. Let me go back. I really like that, and I think it's a lot more natural. Also, what we can do is bring down the gain just a little bit too. Bring down the gain. I'm gonna up these shadows again just a little bit. About 60, and I like this a lot. There we go. I don't know what that's. There we go. I like that a lot. It also adds some life to the benches down here as well, since starting off, you know, they're pretty similar colors around here in this area in the mid-tone, so it just helps give a nice boost. And I might not even have to mess with the saturation at all. I think I'll just leave it like this for now, but only using the saturation bar in the HDR wheels. When I was brightening those shadows, I was using HDR wheels. I don't use the color wheels really anymore, just because it just adds way too much crunch. Like I don't like it at all. But with the saturation wheel, it kind of does it globally and in a way where it just does the whole image like evenly, way more even, and it doesn't tweak your luminance either. So like if I wanted to pull this up, I could get saturated, but you don't need much of it either. And that's where I wanted to get. This is what I wanted to do. I just wanted to make it nice, keep it nice and simple, just like this. And the last thing that I'll do, and we'll come up here, go down the radius, and we'll go about 4.8, I think 4.7. I think 4.8 is all right. mid detail and take this to 5. Yeah, something like that. It's a little subtle. Then we'll go over here, add some film grain real quick. And I added 35mm because I like how fine it was. I didn't want it to be too overbearing. Again, I'll probably just overdo it. Take it to 555. And that's pretty much it for that. And after that, I mean, you got some glow, blend. See, it looks pretty nice. Some glow in the background. But that was pretty much it for that image. But one more thing I wanted to show you before I switch over to the next clip. I shot this handheld, and one of the things that helps me out a lot is when I don't have a tripod on me, or if I don't feel like getting out my tripod, I just try to stay as still as possible. And I knew this was going to be a still shot anyway, so I just stayed as still as possible. Actually, this shit is not going to play. Let me change this clip. But it's a little rocky. You know, it looks handheld. It was handheld. It was just me on my pocket rig. But when I know I'm going to do that, I just try to stay as still as possible because I know I can just go into Resolve right here. Resolve. I don't know what I said. I know I can just go over here to this right inspector panel and come to stabilize, hit camera lock, let that stabilize real quick, and boom. We're camera locked. It's camera locked off. It looks like it was shot on a tripod. I love that feature. It's a lifesaver for real, especially for documentary work. You just stay as still as possible and Resolve and do the rest. But I'll just go ahead and just copy this over real quick. Control C, Command C, Command C. Comanche, it's not like a name, it's like a name. Comanche. Oh. You know, and boom. You know, it does some things I like right off the bat. But I don't love the crunch. So I'll just turn this node off. And I'm not in love with how saturated the greens are right now. They look super saturated. And I think that's a part of our shadows aren't up like how they were in the last clip. The sun went down a little bit. You know, you see back here is a lot brighter and they're behind the clouds. And the exposure went down a lot. So it was a lot darker over here. So we just go back into the HDR wheels. I'm just gonna bring these shadows up until my greens look a little more not so saturated over here. And you see that brings up the in the hair as well. I'll bring those up. Somewhere up to 95 is good. Now we're starting to look a little, let me take this grain off. Okay, got some texture back in there. It's added some nice texture. I also like this. Is the glow turned on? The glow's not turned on. I thought it was turned on. This looks like halation. I think that's just the, yeah, that's just from the lens. I actually like that. I like that a lot. I didn't notice that on the first go around. But it does that, like, the TTartisian 17mm, it does that. It makes this little glow at 1.4. It's the aberration, but it looks good to me. I like it. I don't really have an issue with it. But, so we just bring that up in these shadows, as you can see. So what I'll do is I'll go to the contrast in the color wheels, and just slightly, I'll zoom this into, I'll start to move the contrast just a little bit. Until I get these blacks or I run them out again. Yeah, there we go. This is where we want to be. And you can even bring your exposure down more. But the one other thing that I wanted to do with the skin, I kind of wanted to bring this down a little bit. And really, I like where the skin tone is at. The skin tone isn't too far off from where I want it. And really, this might be a job that I can do with the HDR wheels. Let me bring down just the saturation just a little bit. And about 0.88. I think that looks good. Yeah. All right. I like this a lot. And this pretty much, that's all it took for me to go and do that to this clip to, you know, make it how I want it to look. I think I might have even dropped the exposure down just slightly of everything also using the HDR wheels. Just slightly. And I like that. Nice and even, everything's nice and even. We got some texture here with the grain. And yeah. I don't know why I just hit play like it was gonna play. I knew it was gonna buffer. It's probably gonna buffer at 1/4 I'm not gonna lie to you. That looks terrible, but yeah, that's what we get. Something nice and even. It's like one of the things that I'm so jealous about with the Alexa. It's like the Alexa is like even the Sony Venice too as well. Red cameras, they're like real life. That's got a little bit of sauce on it. It's real life that has a little bit of juice on it. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm really trying to do with my Pocket 4K in a lot of instances, is just take what it does best, which is it has really good color science and it does things, you know, really in a natural, almost filmic way. I really just want to keep the base of that and not do nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? That's really where this camera shines, in my opinion. You know, just the raw look you get from it, from just keeping things natural. A lot of times, you know, the camera just looks great. Yeah, that's pretty much where we want to be here. Let's turn everything off real quick. Boom. All right. So that's what we started with. Add the LUT. Change the colors in the back. Exposure change. Power window that we didn't add, we kept that off. We're gonna keep that off for now. Skin. Grain. And yeah, that's what we get. I like it a lot. When you already have colors in the scene that are contrasting, you get that natural contrast already. It's really easy to just do this in like a few grades, you know, and then everything else is just a cherry on top if you want to like do more. Obviously this is a really basic grade. I'm gonna be surprised to see how long this video turns out, because if it's past 5 minutes, I'm just rambling at stupid stuff, because this is just a couple nodes, and I just wanted to keep it natural. That's all I really wanted to do. And let's go over to the last clip, just in case this run time is too long. Let's get it out the way. And this is pretty much where we want to be at. The only thing that I can see in this clip that I want to change is the exposure. That's really it. Like it's pretty much the same as the last clip. I don't think the sun moved too much. And then I'll just go over to this, the HDR wheels. I'll grab the exposure and I'll just bring this down until I'm at a level that I like. And I think, my bad. All right, let's do it on skin. And we're almost there anyway. Boom, boom, boom. Minus 0.20, I think was the perfect touch. And in the skin, this is pretty much at where I want it to be. We can even drag it down just a little bit more. And even somewhere like right here. Like if I'm shooting like something, you know, I'm coming like here. If I'm going like, you know, full on Fincher, nah, I'm just playing. But we're gonna take it back up and take it over a little bit, and I'm gonna take it a little bit over so y'all can see it too. But this is where I want it, and this is where I like it generally. To me, it looks perfectly balanced, and even I can even come up here and just stretch this up a little bit, just so it's not as crushed with the offset. About here is perfect. I'm gonna stop tweaking with it, because I can sit here and tweak with it all day until I get something I like. But I think in the end result in the video, I just came to a nice, like, you know, a nice little balance between everything, between the skin, and I like it. But that was pretty much it. And look, even when I start to click back between these two clips, I can see that I can brighten it or lower the brightness on this one as well. Take that down, and now that looks a lot better. Now these match a little more evenly. Yeah. All right, you get the gist though. But yeah, that's pretty much the way that I grade my videos. I keep it pretty simple. I'm still learning. That's the way I like them. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Appreciate you for watching.